So when to get out all of your energy and whatever it is, you don't hold nothing back, and you just go.
And we are live.
We are live. Even better.
Get it out like that. You just.
All right.
Wait, I missed that. Could you one more time? One more time.
Everybody at once. You do it. It doesn't matter how you sound. Ready?
All right.
There you go. That's my.
All right. Well, everybody, welcome to the Trajectory Live podcast. As you can see, we have fun here. But today's a special day because we have a special guest, Scotty Carlisle. And, the interesting thing is, Scotty's been a host of his own podcast. He's done tons of interviews. He's hosted our own podcast, but there's very few, or if any, actual interviews where he's the guest. So I thought it'd be something special because he is someone special. And we need to acknowledge how uncomfortable he is today. This is the guy that you can within 30 minutes say, hey, you need to host this event. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. He's that. But when it's about him, I don't know who this guy is. Actually, it's interesting.
Yeah,
But
I don't know what to.
Yeah, we'll have a theme. So one of the themes that we want to talk about is the reason why we created Trajectory in the first place was to get unstuck, right? So that's overcoming either loss or challenges. And this guy has a gift for that. Even though if you ask him, he won't acknowledge it, but he does have a gift. I've heard him speak with people about it. He has a gift and he needs to share that gift. So that's why we are here today. So welcome, Scotty.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is definitely awkward, but okay, whatever. I'm down. The fact that Saul, you came all the way you flew back for this event or for this meeting. We're gonna go there wherever that is. So, I don't know what's your thoughts?
Well, first, we talk about Trajectory. For those out there that don't know the story of Trajectory, just really, I guess, in the short form version, what is Trajectory all about? Because that was your kind of brainchild and your idea.
Trajectory is making a connection so that people can use each other's strengths when they're to overcome a hardship. So, for me personally, Trajectory is Serena's second chance. So Serena passed away on December 3rd, which was the same day of the year that my dad had passed away. So December 3rd is a hard day. She passed away, I think, from a broken heart, because when my little brother passed away, she was very close to him and then fell into this deep, deep, dark depression and then started taking psych meds and got diagnosed with schizophrenia, got diagnosed with, severe depression, anxiety, and all that stuff. And was the most beautiful soul that God has made. And to see somebody that has this fast, I wasn't supposed to start choking up this fast. It was like the next minute. No, but to see somebody that's in that situation, that much love and that sweet of a person, to be in that position and you want to help. I was her big brother. She was the baby. And there's nothing you can do sometimes. And so a week before she had passed away, she posted a song on Facebook named Second Chance by Shinedown. And it basically says that sometimes goodbye is the best second chance. And Trajectory is Serena's second chance, because if we can create or foster a community where we can be real with each other, because that's one thing, she was real. Like, she never minced words sometimes you didn't understand her words because she made them up, and it was your problem if you didn't understand them. We call them Serena-isms because she would just say, and you're like, that is not, and it was a word now because we're like, okay, I can see how you make that up. So she didn't care. She just said like it was, and that's something that is so amazing because people are usually so guarded, right? They don't want to come across a different way, or and she was just who she was, and so I think part of when people fall into depression, they isolate themselves. And when they isolate themselves, they're subject to all kinds of problems, right? And they don't have somebody to be like, hey, you don't have, that's the wrong way to think. Because look at it this way, right? When they isolate themselves, they just go down a road and then they jump to conclusions and then they jump to more conclusions. And by this time, they're on a completely different wavelength and they've dug a hole so deep. And sometimes they can't escape. Trajectory is an escape that I want. I want it to be a place where we can all connect with each other. I can tell you my problems. I can be real. I can tell you straight up what the issue is. And there's no judgment. And you can do the same for me, to me, and to her. And then we can feed off of each other. And then when you leave, you got a friend, you got somebody that you can bounce ideas off of. And so the short, long form of it is that it's my ideal scenario is to use the community to help us turn our pain into power, into purpose, to use it as fuel. Because when you lose something, whether it's a person or a job, a peace of mind, it creates a fire. And if you don't do something about that fire, it will burn you up. But again, like I always say, fire also creates energy. So every missile, jet, airplane, rocket, they use fire to create combustion and propulsion, and that influences the vessel's trajectory. So all of us as being humans, we all experience shit. Sometimes we get shit on. Sometimes we shit on other people. You know, we're not perfect. So then on that side, we deal with guilt. On this side, we deal with shame, right? So I think that when we're able to connect with each other, there's like this bridge of energy that we can feed off of each other and it'll help lift us up. And, you know, when a brother's in need or a sister's in need, that we can connect, and the rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah, I think one of the things, yeah. One of the things that's different about you for sure. I mean, I know you created it like in the legacy of like your little sister and things like that, but you know, it's not just your family. Like if there's a story about somebody that had a real difficult time or hardship, like you're the first to be like, "Hey guys, we need to do something for this person." You know, it's refreshing because a lot of people could care less, right? Most people in the world could care less. So where do you think that motivation comes from for you to want to really help? Because I mean, that's the whole idea of why you created Trajectory, because you want to help. But where do you think that motivation to that really strong desire to help people comes from?
Oof, that's deep. I've thought about it a couple, you know. I have a couple screws loose. But you know, when I was a kid, my dad, I had a real close relationship with my dad. I loved him tremendously. And he was like a my hero, right? Somebody that, and like I just remember from when I was a little kid when he picked me up, and I felt this sense of safety, like of belonging, right? That has followed me through all of these years. And then again, it's almost like the Serena issue where my dad, I looked up to him and he had a lot of good qualities, you know, but he had a lot of bad habits, and bad habits had caused a lot of trauma in my family, you know, for my siblings, my mother, and even with me in situations that I had to be in, you know, like living in a shelter and stuff like that. But I always felt the love. So I always overlooked things that had happened, whereas sometimes my siblings hadn't. They're just like, I don't ever want to talk to him again. I hate him or whatever. And part of me growing up is I always wanted to have that. I wanted to have his attention. And so I always tried extra hard to do something, to go out of my way and and get the attention from him. But, you know, he was addicted to substances, and he would be home for a day and then he'd be gone for like a week, 2 weeks, and then he'd come and he'd pass out. And then I'd try to talk to him, and then, and so I was on this, like, in the back of my mind as a kid, as an innocent, like, not knowing, I'm like, if I do better, I'll get his attention. I'll get it. And so it started this whole thing about achievements, where if I could get achievements, if I could do these things, then, and I think that might have started my trajectory to try to go over and above. Like, if this person did that, I'm gonna go better, and I'm gonna go bigger. And I saw him as a victim, but he was a manly man. He wasn't a victim, but he was a victim. I have a cane in my car. Yeah. Damn it, Jason.
That is the most I admire you so much. That is the truth. And you're crying. You know,
Yeah. It's well, oh, that's right. You know what? I wasn't gonna go there, but you're here. So I carry that cane in my in my car because, obviously it represents my dad. It represents my dad and our connection. But, like, he fell off a 3.5-story building, said he would never walk again. And then, yeah, and then lost both of his siblings. One of his siblings he lost when that sibling was driving on a motorcycle to see him in the hospital after he just got told he would never walk again. The other sibling had gotten shot when he was a little kid. They were out in the country, and my dad was there and saw that. And so he had all of these traumatic experiences, and then he has a cane, but to me he was like the toughest dude. He was like, you know, he was a fighter. He was somebody that I looked up to and I wanted to emulate. And so Saul asked me about that cane because the last conversation I had with my dad, so he was permanently disabled. I'm the first person in my family to have any kind of college degree because we came out in the sticks, and that's not necessarily something that people had cared about. But regardless, he took a bus from from Arizona all the way to Georgia because my school is Georgia Southern University. Well, our mascot was an eagle. My dad's cane is an eagle's head cane. There's a gold eagle's head, and so he came to my graduation, and for him it was a real emotional situation, and he was sitting on a grassy knoll by himself, and I was down there. And then whenever they had released, and they're like, okay, move the whatever that's called, the tassel, yeah, it's good. And then everybody threw our thing up, and they actually had an eagle, and it flew from one goalpost to the other. And my dad's sitting there with his eagle cane, and he looks up and he sees an eagle flying. And that was literally the last conversation I had with him. And he was telling me that cane is the most prized possession that he had. And so there's that piece of my heart where I saw my dad with so much potential in life. He was smart, he was loving, he was tough, and he was in a situation that was really fucked up. And that's somebody that I love. And to see somebody that I love in a situation like that is no good. So I think that is probably the baseline of what drives me, because I know that there are people out there that make mistakes in life and that sometimes become addicted, or sometimes they take left turns when they should have taken a right, and it puts them in a bad spot. And I don't see them as bad people. And I think that if there's a possibility that I can influence somebody or I can help them to see their value, because people, dude, we all have so much value that we don't even realize. We have so much value, but our value, what I've experienced, our value comes from helping each other. Because yes, I'm helping you, giving, but the value for me, I'm feeling better about myself. I'm experiencing things, these connections. And so I think that if we can help each other, then that's going to make everything better. Now back, with Serena in that situation. And then when my little brother passed away, same situation. He was addicted. He had got molested when he was a kid.
Well, let me ask you a tough question.
Oh, like, that wasn't a tough question already?
Well, I mean,
he's like, okay, let me ask you a tough question now.
A directly tough question. Well, it gets tougher. Hey, I mean, the person that you've become today, right? The person that you've become today, the skills that you have acquired, and you have, I mean, out of anybody I know, you probably read the most books that I know on personal development. You've and you have a good memory, so you have acquired a crazy amount of knowledge, right? You've been preparing these skills, right? And that's the person that you've become today, right? If that person was around for your dad or for your sister, like, not necessarily has to be you, but somebody like you, say it was a different family, right? Like, what kind of difference do you think that would have made?
This is Ed Milet, that speech that we heard, the one person that affected his dad, right? That was a it makes all the difference. That's how much. All of it. Because we're programmed to be members of a tribe, to be connected to each other. We're programmed. We have some kind of a quantum level of energy and, different communication things that we can't necessarily, we can try to explain, in a linear fashion and stuff. But I think there's something behind that, and that we hold the keys to each other's success. And I think that sometimes we're called and we have choices to make, and we can either step up or not. It's our choice. We don't have to. But I think when you decide to step up, it makes all the difference. If if somebody was like that, if somebody had connected with my dad, and maybe that's where maybe some humility comes in too, because I don't know if they could have. There's a story about Mephistopheles, and basically the devil comes to talk to somebody, and he feels guilty because he's doing all of these bad things, and the devil's letting him know, hey, no, you're going to hell, bro. But there is always a chance that he could be saved, but he didn't know. And I think that's with all of us, that we could be doing bad things. I did a lot of bad things. I had gotten off into a wrong direction. I've done things that I shouldn't have done. I bullied somebody. I bullied a lot of kids when I was younger, because it was like something that I felt like I needed to, because my dad was a tough guy. So for me to fit in, I needed to be a bully. I needed to be tough, right? And so when you first start down that road, you're not, the only way you can be tough is to bully somebody that's not as tough as you. I look at that now, and that's sad. Now I'm the president of an anti-bullying organization. Right? We yeah, yeah, I think that is partly repentance. That is partly repentance. So part of what also drives me to do good things is from feeling guilty from doing bad things, right? And again, I'm just being as real as possible. That's um when I was a younger kid, and I just think that we have choices we make. Sometimes we make the wrong ones, but we always have the opportunity. There's always a chance for us to turn the boat around and make it to repentance, or to the positive side of the waters. So, but
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about polarity, right? About there's no darkness. I mean, there's no light without darkness, and the amount that something affects you and becomes your purpose and has such a passion for, a lot of that is stemmed from that polarity. If you don't have those experiences, you don't experience the high side of it either, and where you get the most satisfaction when you see these problems being solved or these problems being addressed. So it's the nature of who you are today is because of those things. It's not something unfortunate. It happened, but maybe not, because who you are today is important, right?
yeah.
But so I mean, I want to kind of go also into the nuance of how you approach this, because it's interesting, because you, for yourself first, you've gone through a ton of shit, like literally, like you can write a large novel on the stuff that you've gone through, right? But you've always pulled yourself out of it. But not only pulled yourself out of it for survival, you kind of like thrive out of it, which is, I think, what you want to, you know, show others that's possible. It's what she said. It's turning that fire into fuel, right, for propulsion. That's exactly what you did with your own life, right? What? So I guess for the first time, like, because a lot of people just fall into a hole and they just like disappear, or they just get deeper and deeper and deeper. Where did the spark come from? You think that made you want to, like, you find fire and propel, rather than just like, oh, let me just get to where I could be okay. Like, you literally want to be better than okay when something bad happens, which is different.
I remember my uncle lived out in the country, and he had a bunch of roosters. And there was a show called The Phoenix. You remember that? Well, basically, this guy was like this person. He was like a maverick, and he was like a loner, but he had this amulet, and it was magic. And he could use that to like do magic things and be the hero. And so I remember going into the backyard, and he could like levitate. And I remember sitting like this to try. And then I was like, I got this like weird necklace that I put on. And then I thought I was gonna meditate or levitate, And I was like, I'm waiting to do it, and I'm like, and I'm trying to do all these things. Well, it never happened. So I'm like, well then, yeah. Well then, the roosters were right behind me. There was like I don't know, there was probably like 15 roosters, and I'm like, kung fu, right? Because the guy was also could fight, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go show those roosters that I know how to fight. So I went into the thing. My uncle didn't know, right? No, but I was out there by myself. And so I went into the pen, and then I started like kicking like, because I was trying to beat the roosters up. Has anybody ever messed with roosters before?
They're pretty ferocious.
They kicked my ass. They all came to me. They were pecking, and then I was scared, and I was screaming, crying, and and I was frozen. I couldn't even go out of the pen because I was so scared, and they were just eating me up, man. And so, and then my uncle came because he heard me crying, right? And he came and then he saved me. But I think that my first response to that question is it's love, right? Love gives you the spark because that's what's the motivating factor, right? Creation, love, like impact. But I feel like imagination is a very important component of that because it allows you to escape your binds. Because sometimes we grow and we put ourselves into a box. I can't do that. I can't do that. Nobody's done that before, right? But so I think that spark comes from a little bit of imagination where you allow yourself to dream, allow yourself to be the hero. Just do it. Just try it. Just see how it works. And that like lays a foundation. And then I do think love for self, I think that's also the baseline because if you don't have love for self, then you don't want to do things that are gonna elevate you. It's like you're not good enough. Like you have a bad attitude and forget everything. And that happens, it just you start digging a hole, and a lot of times that's the hole that's hard to get out of because you don't give a shit, because you don't care, you don't want to get out because you have been dealing with guilt, you've been dealing with shame, you've been dealing with depression, you've been dealing with all of these different negative things, and your self-image has just now it's associated with it. So you are in your mind bad. You're not good enough. You hate people. You're not. And when you're in that box, that dark box, you don't want to help anybody. But that's the thing. We have to find people that are in that dark box because the only way to get to them is to show them love. And sometimes they shit on you. It just happens. But you still can affect them. You still can impact them. You can inspire them. And what I've found is that, you can help somebody. You have a lot of money. Here you go. I got money. No problem. Cool. I'm a good person, right? Because I've helped you. That's fine. And it's good. When I'm broke and I can't rub two pennies together and I figure out, but then on top of that, I figure out a way to get you money because I know your situation. Now we're talking about something, because I believe that when you do positive things out there, that there is a universal law that's a boomerang that goes, and sometimes it comes straight back, but a lot of times it doesn't. It'll go that way, and then sometimes it takes all the way around the world, right, before it comes back. But it always comes back, and if you do things when you don't have that thing, so the thriving, I think, comes from knowing that I don't have this. Ooh, imagination. How can I figure this out? Because anything's possible. So now I can figure something out and I'm going to try to make it happen. And I'll give you a perfect example. I just said I was the president of an anti-bullying organization. It's called SAC, Simple Acts of Care and Kindness. You know how I got into that thing? You know how I became a board member for SAC? Because I met Shirley and it was at this networking breakfast, and she was like, yeah, we do this thing called the World Kindness Youth Carnival and our conference. And it's this kid, all these kids, and we teach them how to be more compassionate. We have these speakers and these exercises the whole day. And I was like, that is cool. I'm going to do something for her, right? Just because I got inspired, because it's not saying don't bully. It's saying, do this, be compassionate. It's like pointing a direction without saying don't, because all the rebels, if you say don't, they do, right? And we've all been in that case. But so I decided that I was going to do a celebrity dinner cruise in the Inland Empire. Celebrity dinner cruise. That's stupid, right? It's stupid. But But tell me that, and I was broke. So that's the whole point I'm getting to right here. I was broke. I didn't have a pot to piss in, right? I didn't have anything, but I was like, celebrity. What's the biggest, craziest thing I can think of? Celebrity. I didn't know any celebrities. Dinner cruise that was on a yacht. I'm broke. I'm going to figure this out. The imagination. What's that?
Like elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I like Paris.
so I ended up doing it at Marina Del Rey. Yeah, it was at Marina Del Rey, but still I had to get everybody to come all the way out there. But I called several yachts companies. I found a company that would actually like say, okay, and I was telling them, look, I'm gonna have so many people here. This is a really awesome thing. I'm giving out this unsung hero award, and we're gonna I'm gonna fill your yacht up. And the guy's like, all right, we can do that. So he literally allowed me to charter the yacht, and I set the date. And then the point was, I was gonna charge them for dinner, and then that was gonna give me money to pay the guy. So I did not get enough people. There was still 100 people. The 100 people went to that dinner cruise. So it was still pretty cool, but I ended up losing, like I was negative before, and then I was double negative, like $2,500, right? So obviously being broke but it happened. And the magic that was there, man.
Was there a celebrity?
There was a celebrity, because I did have. Yeah, no, the main celebrity wasn't there, but I did have a couple of celebrities that said they were going to do it, and that's where. And then it was like, okay, but then there was a producer that ended up coming, Dino's dad.
Oh, okay.
So he's a celebrity enough, right? And so, but that one act, right? And this is why I'm saying, if you can do something even when you don't have, if you're creating something by the universe and your sheer will, because I think that's an important part also, like your will to get something done, you can get it done if you decide, right? If you commit and you decide, then you can make it happen. And so that's what happened there. And I have other stories about that kind of thing, but the boomerang came out, and again, now I'm the president of SAC. Like, who would have ever thought that, right? It's a big organization. We had 4,000 kids that would, it was just really big. And now we're creating the Change the World app, right?
Yep.
And we're changing the world, dude. Like, yeah. I mean, seriously, it's awesome. Go, of course.
You want to give her a mic?
Oh yeah, there's a mic here.
I just wanted to say, Scotty, that so I believe that there's a small fraction of God that lives in everybody. And there's this thing in quantum physics, it's called entanglement. And when you are really connected to something or somebody for long enough, and you find something in them that's wonderful, no matter how far away they are, you have this connection, and like I thought that, I mean, I already knew what I was supposed to do in this life and what where my home was, and I left. And I feel like you showed me that something that I chose to do the other thing. I chose to accept money instead of tell my story. And I'm like ready and willing to be sued indirectly and give up everything that I have left just because my message is more powerful than their pockets, And I came back. I've been traveling and searching, and I feel like all of us here that keep coming back, we have that entanglement. There's something that is there that no matter where we go, we come back. And I just want you to know that he asked you, what do you think, you could have done? You were that person then, and it's nothing that you did, because just your spirit. and I come back and I mean, I was much happier before I ever had a dime, you know, and now, and I mean, and actually right now, I mean, my money's tied up in other places and I helped people but I don't even care. Like, you inspire me to want to tell my story and go completely broke because my message is powerful, just like your message is so powerful. And I come back here because of the connection and because of the inspiration. And it definitely has a lot to do with you. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Tell your story.
I bet these two best-selling authors, speaking on this podcast, could find a way for you to tell your story without going broke. Just saying.
Yeah. No.
That you are inspiring and you have a gift and your gift brings others and our gifts together and we are entangled in some way. We are meant. This is meant. There's something very special and unique about all of us, you know, but you definitely, I mean, you started this and yeah, you make a difference more than
Brianna, I want to just tell you, you're lovable. You're lovable. You're lovable. No matter what, money or not, I don't care. You're lovable.
you.
I love you.
You know, part of doing this podcast was there's a specific reason, you know, that we have like a kind of a secret reason. But I want to ask you this question first. Like, you've seen like the person that you've become and like your intentions and your desire to help people and your desire to learn so you have more ammunition to help people. And do you think that was all by design? Like you said one day, I'm going to be this guy, or do you think it just happened? What do you think?
Okay. I made promises to God. I was in New York. I got a phone call from my wife saying that my son was possibly going to be born. She had was having contractions. She was 4 months early, and her mom ended up taking her to the hospital, and they said that she's having contractions, and that if Sage was born, that there would be a 10% chance that he was going to make it. And if he did, just expect that there were going to be birth defects, and for like pretty very good chance he's going to be blind. And I got this call. I had been on this guerrilla marketing thing where the whole last night, we worked all the way through the night to get this truck so it could be filmed, and we made it just at 10 a.m. just in the nick of time. And that whole day, it was a long day. At night, it was probably like 11 o'clock. I was just getting in like where I was going to crash out. That's when I got the call. So I was already like not sleep, you know, it was crazy. And then I got that, and I was just thinking, my son, 10% birth defects, blind. You know, I've said that story before because that's what happened, but when it's your son and you are thinking that anything could happen that's negative, your mind goes crazy. And I'm helpless. I'm in New York. She's in California. And I was just like, you know, I didn't know what to do. I was freaking out. I called my mom. Mom, what am I supposed to do? She's like, I don't know, Scotty. It's like, that's not something that you have an answer to. And then it really started hitting me. And then I basically, you know, I'm in the lobby at a New York hotel, and I'm praying out to God, like, God, because when you don't have anything else and you're helpless and there's something that you love that could potentially be hurt, you only have God. I made promises to God. I'm like, God, please save my son. I will do everything I can to be a good man, to help people, please save my son. Please don't let him be born. And then later I'm like, okay, I got to book a flight. I went straight to the airport. When I get there, I get the phone call and Sage is coming. And I'm like, hold on. I got to go through the security. I'm going to call you right back. So I'm going through security. I get through and I'm like, my stomach. I had to go to the bathroom because of my nerves, right? And so I go to the bathroom and I'm like, okay, I'm going to call her as soon as I'm done. And I'm sitting on the toilet and my pants start vibrating. And I'm like, not here, not right now, because there's echoey, toilets are flushing, people are talking. And I'm like, this is not the situation I want to be in. Yeah. My son is born, but I have no chance. And I have to, and so I pick up the phone and I'm like, hello. And my wife's just like, and I'm like, I'm here for you. Like this is just really awkward. And it was, but in that situation, I'm just imagining myself on the toilet, like trying to help my wife and, and so it was like, so we're on the phone. Anyway, what ends up happening is Sage was born when I was on the pot. And so, but they took him away. And then what happened was his heart wasn't beating correctly. Like there was issues. And so they had to take him away to do chest compressions. And so they take him away and my flight's boarding now. And my wife looks at her mom and her mom's like, it's not looking good. And I'm telling the flight attendant, I'm like, ma'am, can you please just wait? My son was just born. I don't know if he's going to make it. Can you just wait a little bit? And she's like, sir, you can be the last person on the flight, but we have to leave. And I'm like, God, please save him. Please, please. And literally I had to board the flight, not knowing when I landed if he was going to still be alive. That I had already been through everything with not sleeping, and then it just was a train wreck, right? What do you do in that situation? And so I flew to Houston and I landed, right? And I'm like, is he okay? Is he okay? Well, yes, but there's another issue. What happened? What? Well, because he was born at the Riverside Kaiser, it's a nice hospital, but they don't have a level 4 NICU. So he's going to have to be transported to another hospital. But because he's so frail and small, we don't know if he's going to make it.
Wow.
And it was like, are you serious? And so they didn't do the chopper. They did a ambulance, but I didn't realize ambulances don't use the express lanes. But so it literally took 2 hours for him. My layover was 2 hours. I had to fly out again, not knowing if he had made it to the other hospital. And it was like, talk about a train wreck. I qualified. I was a train wreck. Finally got there. And, I get to her sister picks me up. We go to the hospital and you go in and you have to, wash your hands for like 3 minutes and you put your little scrub stuff on. And then I walk down this really long hallway. And it was like, I don't know, 5 or 7 little aisles down. And then they're like, okay, follow me. And then right here, and there was an isolette, like an incubator, right? And there's like a whole bunch of incubators. And it's like number 23. And I walk up to it and I look in there, this incubator, and I see this thing like that big. And I'm like, that's my son. And there were tubes like going everywhere, and there were bandages, and the skin was translucent, and he was just face down like this, not moving. And I'm just looking at him like, oh my God. And there was like hair on his back, and like he had these things that were, it was that because he was being forced to breathe, or he couldn't breathe. Because when you're that early, you don't have that natural ability. It takes, your lungs aren't developed. At that time frame, he had no nipples. It was just, and his skin was translucent. His ears were just flaps. His eyes were fused shut. And in order to get because they're so tiny, they have to put a flashlight behind their arm like that so that it can shine through, because it's literally like see-through, it's translucent. So just like, whoa, man, how can I react? What am I supposed? I can't hug my son. I don't know what to do right now. What am I I'm a dad. What am I supposed to do? Is he alive? He's not moving. Is something wrong with him? And it was like a real eye opener. And it was like, okay, I could come in, I could put my hand through, and I put my hand on him like this, right? That's how I could console him, just by putting my hand on him. And it's crazy how ironic life is, because, you hear a kid crying and you're like, somebody shut that kid up, like giving me a headache, right? I could not hear my son cry for the first 3 weeks of his life because he was intubated. He was being breathed for. I could not hear what that sound is. And when you look at it like that, the sound of crying is like a sacred thing. It's like a blessing, because they can make that sound because there's air traveling and they can breathe. And but again, these little things in life you will never appreciate until you're on the other side of that. So anyway, long story shorter, longer story shorter, shorter story longer is really what it was. Is that things are not, I made a promise to God. Everything I do, and again, let's see. So I'm gonna go there. Only I know we're running late, but this is part of the whole thing that drives me, is that I think this was like his 5th surgery. It was post-op. He again is sitting there. He's being breathed for. I can't hear anything, and he's just squirming, like he's like writhing in pain, and I can't do anything. I'm just standing there with my hand on him, like, and I'm trying to. It's okay, son. It's okay. Can't. I don't know what is going through. I know is that he's in the tremendous pain, and I can't help him. And it was like, I don't know if he's gonna make it. I don't know what's happening. I'm just like there, like, and at the same time, I was running this experiential marketing company. I was the COO. We had a lot of issues with that too. So I was having a bunch of problems there. And then my son Preston, who we all know here, he had gone to stay with a friend, and something bad happened there. He got hurt or whatever. That's his story to tell whenever he wants to. And I was just like, God, what am I? I don't understand. Like, Sage, problems with the business, Preston. What am I supposed to do with this? How am I supposed to reconcile? What am I supposed to do? And is this punishment? Is this like, I'm sorry? Like, okay, uncle, what do I you win? But I did this little mental exercise where I told myself, if I was on my deathbed and I was about to give up my ghost and I had one last breath, how would I advise my current self? What would I tell myself in that breath? Sitting in the hospital, listening to the ding, 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 looking around, just, with all the emotions. And what I wrote was dare to dream, wonder, and be inspired. And therein lies the power to change the world. Which, okay, it's a quote, but I'm like, something's not done. About a week later, I had this epiphany. Oh, then move. And then I'm like, then capital M, capital O, capital VE, underline. So dare to dream, because when shit hits the fan and you're having some kind of a problem that you have to deal with, dare, that word dare means that you have to get outside of your comfort zone. You have to put effort. Dare to dream. And that means open your horizons, widen what you see, because things are possible that we don't realize. Wonder. When we see a fork, like, it's a fork. We don't have to think about it anymore. But wonder. I have a wonder about a fork for all of you. Just look at the fork for 3 minutes. Actually, for a minute. Do it for a minute and just look at the fork. We call this thing a fork, but there are so many facets of that fork. There's a color. There's a consistency. There's a weight. There's a smell. There's a taste. The more you look at it, the deeper that you can get. When you do that kind of an exercise, it really opens up the world. It really creates humility, because you realize you think you know shit, you don't know shit. And so wonder means go deep. Be inspired. And I feel like that to me is just be in touch with God. Because like you said, I think you're right. I think a piece of God lives in all of us. And I think inspiration comes from that piece of God. But if you don't move, you it's just taking a nap, right? You could be taking a nap. It could be a great dream. Yes. So dare to dream, wonder, be inspired, then move. And therein lies the power to change the world. So now it's only a quote, big deal. But what brings it full circle is that my sister came to visit me. She was helping me with problems that I was having. And we're across the street from my house. And we're waiting on Preston to come home from school. And we're sitting there and she's like, Scotty, God's put something on my heart. I know that I need to tell you. I know you're having a lot of issues, but I know you're the person I have to tell. And I was like, what is it, Laura? And she said, it's a move. And this was right after I had wrote capital M. And I'm like, what did you say, Laura? And she said, it's move. She said, if you're in a rut, and you want to get out of the rut, move. Exactly. I said it loud on purpose. If you're in a rut, move.
Yeah.
And then she said, and if you look at the word move, like an M-O-V, and you cover the first part of the M, it spells love. And people move because of love. And we're all moved because of love. And then she said, how do you move? And then she said, M, make a difference in other people's lives. Make a difference in other people's lives. O is offer up your time, talents, and gifts. We all have gifts. We all have time. We all have talents. Offer up to help others. Offer up your time, talents, and gifts. V, find victory in the small things. So even if shit hit the fan, well, go plant a rose, right? You got some shit now. Go do so. So there's always something that you can do, and look at something in a positive light. And then E is encourage others. So she didn't tell me that. She doesn't cuss, but I'm ad-libbing in case you guys didn't figure that out. So, but I'm like, Laura, come with me. I put my arm around her. We walk across the street, my house. I open my journal and I'm like, capital M-O-V-E underline. I'm like, explain that, Laura. She's like, it's God, Scotty. And I'm like, yeah, it has to be, but right? So everything that I'm doing in life, I made promises to God. I believe that message was meant for me. I believe that I am supposed to move, and everything that I'm trying to do in life right now is I'm trying to move, and I'm trying to be a good person. I'm trying to help others, and dude, we're doing good stuff. So it's working.
Well, so I'm a big believer in, when we're talking about the whole like purpose and manifestation stuff. So this is kind of the reason I wanted to do this podcast, right? So I truly believe that God gave us a very powerful gift, and that's the ability to create, to manifest, right? So, but the only reason you create is because of lack. Just like an invention, you don't create something if there's no need for it. When there's a need, that's the reason why you create something or trying to manifest something, right? But he also gives us a purpose. So there's a way that the best way for us to live out the ability to manifest things. That's our purpose. And I know we've always had a discussion on the semantics of purpose and gone back and forth.
Right.
But I want to ask all you guys here, who thinks that what he's talking about today is his purpose? Do you think, the easy way to look at it is because when you're at your lowest and you're asking God, like, please do something, I will do this. Usually it's all that he wants us to do is live out the reason that he put us here. So the thing that you asked him for, that is the reason why he put you here. So you already knew that. You told him that, and he's giving you all this evidence to say, like, take a look at this. Take a look at this, right? So I don't think there should be any question on what it is. And everybody agreed here.
Awesome.
So
badass, man.
Watching this years from now, we're going to want to know, are you going to tell the rest of what happened to Stage on another podcast, or are you going to finish?
I'm writing a book. There will be a book called Sights on Sage, SOS,
Yes.
Sights on Sage, meaning stage end, obviously, but that's in the works. But there's also a podcast where my wife and I go over the whole story. And now you guys are hearing my part of that story, which is crazy. My wife's side, holy shit. Holy shit. She's there by herself having the baby. Her mom's there or whatever, but then she's got all these people running around. Oh, like it is it's crazy. So it's a podcast it's on the Move podcast. And I don't know what it says, Crystal and Scotty or something. But yeah, it's a very interesting story. So
all right. Well, to wrap it up, I just want to reiterate all the things that you've been through your life, all the things that you've done since then, all the messages you received, they're all accumulating to show you where your purpose is. And everybody can see it, regardless of the semantics of the word. Why you're here, everybody knows why you're here. You just expressed it. But on top of that, you have to realize also that the eagle is you. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
wow.
Tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. Awesome.
It's a warrior.